Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode in the Ultimate Track Guide series. Today we're at Zandvoort and we're in the Honda NSX GT3 car, so a little bit different from normal. Really like this track. It's one that I haven't actually driven before this game, so super interesting, and hopefully I can give you a good sort of insight into how we got on here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, then do feel free to do so. It really helps the channel grow and obviously get the content out to more people. We're streaming on Sunday evenings at the minute, and there's a whole load going on. So let's get into the lap. Here we are coming down into the first corner, then looking for the first braking point, and your sport for choice here. You've got the 100-metre board, you've got the white line coming across the middle of the track. There's even a 150-metre board just behind us. You've got big signs all around you, so it's really a case of taking your pick and whatever works for you. In this Honda, in these conditions, I was just before the white line on that 100-metre board, and you want to dive into this corner quite a lot. You don't want to be going in too wide. You lose an awful lot of time, so keeping it nice and tight on the inside. You're aiming for the start of that curb. Again, a little bit off the power, and as soon as you hit that apex, full power, the car will rotate round and you're off into the second corner. Super technical. Turn in at the end of this curb. You see where I'm on the brakes pretty fully, but it's just a dab, just to get the nose down, get the grip onto the front end of the car, and get it starting to rotate round to the right hand side. You may feel like you need to drop a gear here. I do in this Honda. I drop down into second, and as soon as I'm round, you're looking to the right hand side of the track for me. I don't like looking to the outside, but the end of those Assetto Corsa Competizione signs is the way forward for me for a braking marker, unless you want to do it just by feel. Keeping it really tight here, and as soon as you spot that exit, you see I'm on full power here, and you're almost trying to mini double apex that corner. You can either keep it very tight or sort of mini double apex out as soon as you see that corner a little bit straighter. So really technical, quite a difficult first section, some difficult curbs to avoid. So let's take another look at it in full speed without any of the pauses. So you're looking for this 100-metre board on the left hand side to brake now. Down into second gear, nice and tight on the entrance, early on the power, let the car rotate round. You're aiming for the end of the curb here. Now remember not to bump up onto the left or the right hand side curb here, because you will spit you out into the grass here, as I'm sure you've done many a times while you're looking at the guide. Mini double apex there, or keep it nice and tight early on the power. Usually first gear in a lot of cars, but in this Honda it's second gear. So really quick, sort of 20 seconds or so first sector. So let's look at it from above again. Come down the start finish straight. Quite a long straight actually. Get up some good speed, over 155 miles an hour. And again, looking for that white line. Second gear. You can see how tight we are on the apex here. Really early on the power. And here, this is the crucial corner in the first section. Really, do not ramp on the inside curb. It will spit you out into the left. Looking for that braking point or doing it by feel. You could either take this super tight or do like a little mini double apex, but do not go too wide, as you'll lose a lot of time down what is considered to be a straight here, as we've only got a couple of corners really to deal with. Into this right hander then. Really difficult corner. There's a braking marker on the left hand side. We're going to be braking before that orange marker you see on the barrier, on the Armco on the side there, and we're going to be dropping it down one gear just to initially, and then a second gear, and it's really about getting the weight on the front of the car here, so you can turn in nice and early, again taking a tighter line than you think you probably should. It's not really about the exit speed, it's all about the speed you carry here, so you're well over 100 miles an hour through the sort of first initial apex on the power really early. Use the diff to bring the back of the car around. You flick over to the left hand side, down into third gear. Really difficult corner this. You need to be really quite patient. As soon as you're on the brakes, using the throttle a little bit to stabilise the car, and then you're off everything. You're off the brake, you're off the throttle, let the car roll into the apex, and as soon as you hit that curb on the inside, you're back on the power. You need to trust that the front end's going to grip around the rest of that corner. Again, looking to the right hand side of the track, again a little bit easier because you're looking to the inside of the corner, which is where your natural island goes for that sign. It's somewhere just before there that we're looking to brake, and this corner is all about it's all about setup really. It's all about how you use the throttle and the brake to modulate the car. So you can see I'm using the throttle just to stabilise the back end of the car, and you're looking to late apex this quite a lot. So it's all about staying calm, braking a little bit earlier than you think around here, using the throttle to stabilise, but as soon as you're on that apex, you're back on full power, and you're almost aiming to straight line it from the apex to the end of this curb on the left hand side here. Don't need to go all the way over to the right hand side of the track, but you can look for this little ambulance on the over on the right hand side as a braking marker. Again, super technical corner, and setup makes a difference around here, so I tend to run quite a lot of high diff here, so my preload is quite high to keep it stable under these difficult braking situations. Probably could have been a little bit tighter here. You can go on the curb on the inside, but you can see how early I'm on full power here, so we're just about on the apex, and you've just got to hope a little bit of oversteer on the exit. But again, you've got a lot of room to run out on the outside there. So let's look at that again. Super technical, really difficult middle sector to get right. Coming around this right-hander, early on the power. Front of the car's got to bite, and as soon as you feel that, you're on full power. Flick over to the left-hand side, a little bit of braking, off throttle. As soon as you hit the curb, you're on full power now. Looking over to the right-hand side for the sign there. Before they're nice and early braking, use the throttle to stabilise the car. Open up the steering really nicely to aim for the end of that curb. Bring it to the middle of the track. You can see there's some dark marks around. Probably could have been a little bit tighter, but be confident on the throttle here, because this straight you can gain a lot of time. Really difficult sector, and it comes thick and fast, and hopefully this overhead view will give you a bit more insight to how tight we take this right-hander. It's not about the exit speed, it's all about how much speed you carry, because there's not much time before you go into this right-hander. Again, it's all about the apex speed. It's not really any straights. We're not trying to get good exit speed to go down the next straight. It's all about the apex speeds here, apart from this one where you need to be really early on the throttle and hope that the car doesn't oversteer too much as we come into the final couple of corners. Looking for the curb on the left hand side here. It's quite an obvious braking point, this, but a lot of people struggle with this one, and actually you'll see we do make a bit of a mistake on this lap. We get some oversteer. You can go over the curb just a touch on the inside, but do not ramp right over it, as you'll end up in the barrier or going straight on, or on the roof. You can take a little bit of curve. You see we get a kick of oversteer, but it does set us up quite nicely to be really early on the power. You see we're barely halfway through the corner here, and we're back on full power. Again, a lot of cars, this is first gear. In this Honda, it's in second just because of the way the gearing is, so that's absolutely fine. It gives us a bit more flexibility. Really early, as I said, on full power. Used all the curb on the outside, and again, coming into what is, I guess, the last corner complex, you've got this orange Armco on the inside again, like we saw earlier on in the lap. This is your braking point, just as you're going into that tarmac area on the right-hand side. In this Honda, either keep it in third or down to second. A lot of cars will change down the gear though, but I feel like this Honda has a lot of flexibility. And you're aiming to turn in for what is a flat-out last corner at the end of this little Astro bit on the left-hand side. Tends to give you a bit more flexibility. If you turn in too early, obviously you're going to hit that curb, and you can use a bit of the runoff on the outside of the corner. So really technical. Let's look at it again as we cross the line in a 1:35.0. There's definitely some time in there, a couple of oversteer moments as you saw. So let's look at that last sector again, just flow it through nicely without stopping. So braking nice and early. You can take a bit of curb, but be wary of oversteer like I was there. Nice and early on the power. Just try and straighten up your exit as soon as possible. Bring it over to the left-hand side of the track, looking for that orange Armco piece. Keep it in third gear, a little bit of curb. Make sure you're early on the power, because this is flat to the line. It's all about timing on this final corner. It's going to test if you've got a good front end, running little aero on your back, because if you're running a little bit less aero, it helps you around that last corner. But it's like anything, a balance. So, not a terrible lap, but definitely some time in there from, the oversteer moment twice in the last sector, so maybe us just getting a little bit carried away, but really good opportunity to show you the lap in a bit more detail. So let's look at that last sector again. It's really, this is that big tyre mark. Nice and early on the power, really straight on the exit. Actually, you can afford to ramp up that curb on the right hand side, so it's quite a good opportunity to do that. Nice and smooth. It's all about getting on the power smoothly and not oversteering coming out that second last corner. And obviously the last one is flat, and it's all about timing. I'm sure you guys are quite capable of doing that. So, last opportunity to subscribe before we end the video really. I'm just going to run through the lap in this view from start to finish. Again, braking on the white line or just before it, nice and early on the apex. Power as soon as you get to the middle of that corner, straightening up that steering on the exit. Pull over to the left-hand side of the track. Do not go on the curb, either on the inside or the outside. This is all about just carrying momentum into this slow left-hand corner where you can hug the inside nice and early on the power to use the diff to bring the car round, especially if we're running high preload diff that we mentioned earlier. If you're on the power, it will bring the back of the car round. If you're off the power, it will stabilise the car. So just something to bear in mind while you're setting your car up for this track. Nice and early on the apex. On this one, you're apexing before the curve virtually, early on the power. Bring it over to the left hand side and off the power. Cruise through here. As soon as you hit the curve, back on, trust the car. Braking nice and early. A little bit of throttle to stabilise the car on entry. But as soon as you're there, you're straightening up the exit. Aim for the end of that curve. Bring it over to the middle of the track. Really awkward left-hander. Probably could have got into this a little bit more, but early again on the power. Be ready for a bit of snap oversteer, especially if you've got that preload diff quite high. It's going to be difficult to manage coming out those slower corners. Looking for the curb on the left-hand side, just slightly before it, depending on the car. Tame whatever happens in this corner. It's going to throw a whole load of things at you, as I'm sure you know. Use the curb on the outside. Bring the car over to the left-hand side of the track, looking for the orange Armco. Second or third gear through here on the power, nice and early, but really smoothly. Turn at the end of that little Astro on the left-hand side to maximise your chances of getting around the last corner. Flat out, and away we go. And that is the lap of Zandvoort, guys. I hope that was useful, because I really enjoyed setting the car up for this one. If you haven't watched already, I'll put a link up above to the video where I was setting up the car for this. It's about an hour long, so I appreciate it's quite an effort to go through there, but it gives you a good insight into what goes on behind the scenes of these track guides. So it's quite an interesting one, really. So again, hope you guys enjoyed that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, then do feel free to do so. It really helps sort of get the channel out there, and to keep producing these track guides, which I'm going to keep doing. I'll get back into the rhythm doing them each week. Till next time, see you later.